Okay, so let's get a bit comfortable with some of the Azure components. Uh, so these are some of the Azure AD components, where we have users, groups, administrative units, external identities, and so on. So I'll take you through each and every component and try to explain what are these components are and what it does. So first one is the users. It's just a users where you create a user and which gets added within your Active Directory. Second is the groups. We have two types of groups. One is the security group and second is the Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 group is a group where only users can be added, whereas in security group, your users, service principals, any identity which you have in AD can be added within that group. Uh, then we have membership types within the group. There are basically two types. One is the dynamic, which one is a dynamic user, dynamic devices, and the assigned. So when I say assigned, it means that you are going to add a user within the group. Where when I say dynamic, which means the group itself is going to add users or devices dynamically. So in that case, we need to create a query, which is a rule. We say it as a membership rules. So whenever those specific rules are valid, get satisfied, then accordingly that specific users and devices gets added. So for the example, if I just get navigated to the Azure Active Directory and click on groups and click on new groups, and here you can see we have two types, which is one security and Microsoft 365. For now, I'll keep it as security. So here you can see we have assigned dynamic users and dynamic device. So let me just provide a name. Let's say test group. And if I click on dynamic user, I need to add a dynamic query. So the query says and or property. So let's say property will be let's say display name. So display name of whom? Of obviously the display name of the users. The operator can be, let's say, contains, and so let's say contains test. So if the name of the user contains the keyword test, and automatically those users will get added within this specific group. So now if I want to validate, just to check if my rules are properly working on those specific users or not, I can just search it from here. Search for a user test, which is one, this is two, and another user which I know who doesn't have the keyword test. Now you can see test 1 and 2, 1 and 3 were satisfied, whereas the third one was not satisfied. So in this way, this group, which is a dynamic group, will automatically keep adding the users whenever this rule syntax get matched. Next, we have app registrations. So app registration is a component where it allows you to create an identity platform. Let's say you have a login page and you want to allow the users to get logged in who can satisfy by the OAuth mechanism basically. So by having an app registration, you can verify the users if they have a Microsoft account or not, a valid one. Then Microsoft sends the access token and allows him to get authenticated. So in those cases, app registrations are being used. App registration can also be used as a service principal. Let me show this within the portal. So here you can see app registrations. And now if I click on new app registration, I can say my new app. Then I have single tenant and multi-tenant option. So when I say single tenant, it means the users who are part of my company, only those users will be able to get logged in. Rest, when I say multi-tenant, that means users from another tenant as well will be able to get authenticated. Third, which is the which is both a single multi-tenant, but as well as Microsoft personal account. So users who have personal accounts will also be able to get logged in. And the last one is the personal Microsoft only. So it means users who only have personal account, only those users will be able to get logged in. So in this way, you can distinguish who with what kind of audience you want to get logged in within your application. Next, I told service principal. So we can make this app as a service principal as well by just creating a by just creating a client secret. So let me just show you this. Let's say if I click on, okay, let me just refresh it. I have just created that app. Okay, so let me just click on any app. So here you can see this is an app where you can find the client ID. Here I have a client secret. So here I can have a client secret. I can add multiple client secrets. So now I have a client secret and a client ID. So by using these credentials, I can get logged in by the Azure CLI. Azure CLI is an option where you can run commands and perform all the activities that you do from your portal. So it's just the same way where uh, we have this CMD, and by this terminal, the way I can perform all the tasks which I generally do with my mouse and keyboard. I can now do it within the by using the terminal as well. In the same way, whatever activity that you do within this portal, all those things can also be now done by using this terminal option. So by just say az login -h, and if I see for the login options, then here you can see I have az login service principal. So here -u, just need to provide the client ID. For -p, I need to provide this client secret, and then the domain, which is going to be your client ID, or the domain. For me, it's going to be trouble1.onmicrosoft.com, and you will get logged in. Once you get logged in, you can just type az ed user and list. If you have permissions, you will be able to do that, else you won't be able to do that. To provide the permissions, you can just click on roles and administrators, under which you can list out all the roles, uh, and you can do all the other stuffs. Uh, then okay, I didn't talk about external identities. So external identities is a option where you can invite users from another tenant. So like you can a user who have another account. So from your another account, you can invite users from some another like home account. So for me, this is my home tenant. For some and another tenant is going to be my external tenant. So I can invite those users within my tenant, and they will act like a user within my tenant according to the permissions I provide. So for me, if I search for any users, I can get the guest. We call it as a guest user. So here you can see I have this user which is identified by the user type guest. So let me show you how the email ID looks like. So it looks something like this, where I provided this Google account, which is gmail.com, then the ext, which is external, then the trouble1.onmicrosoft.com. So the external identities or guest user URLs are created in this way. So these were the external identities, like inviting users from another tenant. Then you have roles. Roles are just where you can provide the permissions or the roles, which can be administrative application administrations, and all other different types of roles are available. You can also create a custom role as well. Just need to provide the right permissions that you want, and you are ready to go. Okay, I talked about applications. The next is application proxy. So this is a service which allows you to host your local application publicly. So it's just like your internal URL is getting forwarded to the external URL. So here I can show you. Click on application proxy, configure an app, and here you have internal URL option and the external URL. So let's say my internal URL is http localhost, and my external URL is going to be, let's say, any name I want, test stage. So this is going to be my external URL. I have both the options on Microsoft or MS App Proxy. So in this way, your local will be now publicly available. There are two types of authentication as well. One is pass-through. When I say pass-through, that means anyone in this world can access your application by just navigating to this URL. Then you have active directory, which means he need to get logged in by the Azure portal, verify himself, And if that user is being added within this application proxy group, only then he will be able to access the app. So that was the application proxy. Next is Azure AD Connect. Azure AD Connect is a service which allows you to synchronize your on-prem server to cloud server. So let's say on your on-prem server you have some list of users, groups, and all the policies. So automatically those things will get added within your Azure AD. So it will be synchronized. Next we have conditional access policy. So conditional access policy allows you to create some conditions and like for how a user should be able to get logged in from different location or different networks, or where and how the MFA should be asked. Let's say if I say let's say assume like as an admin I want my employees to have MFA if they are trying to get logged in outside the company network. If they are within the company network, then all right. But if they are outside the company network, then MFA will be asked. Another can be they can even revoke the, if they can also decline the login. So let's say if a user is trying to get logged in from outside the company network, then the user won't be able to get logged in. He will be asked as given, we will get an error as an access denied, because the conditional access policy doesn't have that. It asks you to get within the company network. So you can just navigate to security and then click on conditional access and click on new policy. And here you can see we have all the options that you can create users. So let's say for all the users or some specific users and groups, within that also for your guest users, which is external users, what kind of external users you want, or you want all, and you can just even select all. Then you have apps, so which you can even specify the apps. Let's say MFA should be asked for portal.azure.com, but MFA should not be asked for office.com, which is for your OneDrive, OneNote, Word, and like for the while trying to get logged in from the web browser. And the conditions can be from specific locations, all the trusted locations, selected locations. Then you have device platforms, like it can be Android, iOS. You just need to click on yes, and you can provide what kind of device, from what kind of device user should be able to get logged in. So in this way, then these were some of the common components in Azure AD. In the next video, we're going to see some of the components within the Azure RM. What are the different kind of services? So yeah, see you in the next video.